What's up everybody, Matt here, aka STi Love to Drive, to give you a little bit of a rundown on my STi, the build that I decided to go with after the EJ257 seized up, and a bit of a breakdown of the costs involved. So I had Ecotech perform the work. Misha, the owner over at Ecotech, I chatted with him before even getting an STi at all. I had one vehicle do a pre-sale inspection. Unfortunately, that one sold, and so I was able to pick up this beauty about a month after that. Actually less, that's irrelevant. But I had this vehicle inspected by them after purchasing it, got it at a great price, less than 20,000, and I had about 85,000 miles on the motor and chassis. So I bought it with the intent of having it rebuilt and pretty much rock solid as a daily driver, because this will effectively become my daily driver when I pass my Civic on to my son. I've always been a huge fan of the high revving JDM EJs, and I wanted to have some degree of that with the fresh build. So we went with the 2.34 destroker. It is using, Wiseco Pistons, 8.2 to 1 compression ratio. They machined the block to 99.75 millimeters. It has HTuff rods and a 2-liter crank. They also installed an IAG pickup. It has an Arashi TD06 18K turbo, stage 2 clutch kit, which is rated at about 80% greater grip strength than the factory clutch. 1050cc injectors. It does have an aftermarket fuel pump as well. So outside of that, it has ACL bearings, new OEM oil pump, 11 millimeter, and front and rear seals. So they did all the machining in-house. Took a little over a month. It was over the holiday season at the end of 2024. So all in all, they had the car just about 2 months, since it was the holiday season and one of their main guys was out on leave. So in order for, let's see, the engine build itself was about $2,100. The D-stroke short block ended up being about $3,500. That includes the, I believe, yeah, that's for the machining on the block itself. It looks like, I'll throw this up on the screen so you can see a breakdown. It also has a new radiator, just an OE style radiator, because again, I do plan to daily drive this. It won't be seen regular track days, if at all. I was on the fence about going with a closed deck. It is not closed, although I may have them circle back later at some point and close it. But the primary reason here is my target for power is about 400 wheel horsepower. Above that, it will hold about 450 to the wheels with the current build. If it was closed deck, we would be able to push more than that. But at the end of the day, it comes down to drivability. Do I want some ridiculous top end breakneck power on a daily driver? Not really. I'd rather have something that has a really early ramp up of power and then it pulls all the way to redline. And it does, it's making less power than I would like. It's, 353 horsepower, I believe, is what they were able to do during the last dyno session. So it is falling short of that 400 wheel horsepower target. I'm going to have it with the tuner again sometime soon so that we can get closer to or just above 400, because it is quick, but there's more that it's effectively leaving power on the table, because the max pressure that I'm seeing, the turbo push is about maybe 23 pounds at most. It's usually hovering around 21 in Sport Sharp. So there's definitely more power left on the table. It's making that power peak around 7,200 RPM, redline around 7,500. So for me personally, that is fantastic, because now, like, second gear, I'm hitting 60 miles an hour easily. And I have posted some videos of flat foot shifting, just trying to get used to that, and it is crazy how hard it hits. If I set flat foot shift to around 6,000 RPM and hit the first to second gear shift and second to third, it's fantastic. But like I said, there's power left on the table. And I really don't have aspirations for it to be anything more than like a really fun daily driver. I might in the future go a little bit more extreme if I get a different vehicle, but more than likely, if I were to get a separate vehicle and the stars aligned, I would probably have a dedicated race car. And this thing is in such great condition interior wise. I don't want to tear it up. It's one of the main reasons why I jumped on this and purchased it outright, basically as soon as I saw it, is because the interior and the exterior are almost in perfect condition. It's a 3-owner vehicle, but the first owner had it for like 75 of the 80,000 miles from what I understand. So because of that, this is kind of my baby. If I want another project car that I want to rip around, I'll buy a separate chassis and probably build that out. There has been, like some feedback on videos saying like, oh, the car doesn't seem that fast, or whatever it may be, or like that's a lot of money to spend. The total walk away for having the engine built and getting tuned was right around $11,000, which was under budget for me personally, because I did plan on buying a brand new fresh IAG block separately, but Misha effectively said, just let us machine it in-house. If there's any issues, we have plenty of other parts and spare, things that we can bring into play that we're not going to charge you an exorbitant amount of money for. So again, it came in under budget. Overall, for this, to kind of get it at a totally fresh 0-mile drivetrain build, excluding like obviously the differentials and whatnot, but new clutch, fresh motor, $30,000, and there are basically no cars that I would go buy new for $30,000 that I would actually enjoy driving. This is one of my dream cars, if not like at the very top of the list, that I've wanted for quite some time. So to have this fresh, basically in the exact state that I would like it to be, is kind of a dream come true. And it's a great, in my opinion, combination of a somewhat modern vehicle. It's a 2010, it's 15 years old, so it's not modern, but it's not like a 1990s or early 2000s platform, but it's also not like so new that the analog characteristics are lost. I hate driver assist features on vehicles, so I personally avoid newer cars. The 2016 Civic that I have is probably one of the newest that I would buy. I don't like all the creature comforts, and like I said, driver assists, they don't appeal to me very much, and the kind of like the dumber the car, the better, in my opinion. So that's why I went with the GR STi, specifically the hatchback, because I have a son, we play hockey, I want to go on road trips. Having the extra space in the trunk is kind of a big deal for me, and I just think it's kind of a timeless classic that is underappreciated for what it is. And when it first came out, it's the only hatchback STi released in the States. So I have zero intention of selling this car. I really just want to continue to build it up. There's a couple things exterior wise that I would like to modify. The wing, I'll probably end up getting an OEM style carbon fiber wing. The front hood scoop, probably also I'll get a carbon fiber OEM style. And I could potentially have those painted to match the car, since for some reason those two areas they show like way more wear than the rest of the car. I don't know if that's because of wind, drag, or resistance or something, but those areas in particular show considerable wear on the finish, like the paint is almost gone. So I do plan to, like I said, replace those with carbon fiber parts at some point, as well as the door handles. But everything I do to it, I want it to be very tasteful. I wasn't a huge fan of the OEM taillights, so the fact that this came with the semi-blacked out ones, that was very appealing to me as well. And just another thing that I didn't have to modify. It also has aftermarket headlights, which was a huge plus because they don't have all the fogginess of a 15-year-old car, and the styling, in my opinion, looks very nice. So, the other thing that I had done is a Mishimoto top mount intercooler that came after the build was done and during tuning. So they're effectively everything I listed before. It has an AEM intake, it has Cobb catted downpipe, and the Invidia Q300 exhaust. So very few things left in the drivetrain itself are stock. There's a lot of aftermarket parts, clearly, because it was fully built from the ground up, but it does have a stock flywheel. And I was on the fence as to whether or not I wanted to go with an aftermarket flywheel, but was told by a few different people that unless you're going for like an all-out race car, you generally want to stay with an OE flywheel, just because the balance on those is very suited for the crank that was put in the vehicle. So I don't know a whole lot about this particular platform. I would like to, obviously learn more and potentially do a build myself in the future if I've always wanted to have a rally car. So I might go down that route and do more mechanically myself, but for what's a daily driver, I did kind of quote-unquote buy, not build it, because I wanted it to be reliable, and with Ecotech in town, they're one of the experts, so I relied on them, trusted them, and here we are. Have any questions, comments, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. I read all of the comments and try to reply to as much as possible. Peace.